It's hard to believe, but some of the most violent serial killers on Earth were literally stalked by enamored fans. What are the reasons for this weird fascination? Ted Bundy. Theodore Robert Bundy's crimes are shocking, to say the least. It's proven that he took the lives of 20 young women, but it's suspected that the total toll was more than 36.
In 1979, Bundy's trial became a public spectacle. Lovesick groupies showed up in court, desperate to attract attention.
Some of them believed in his innocence, while the others were there to get a rush of adrenaline from being in the same room with such a vile person.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, he's gonna get me next.
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, get very scared. I shut my door and lock him.
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. You try to imagine yourself in his place and to see how he's feeling, looking at the pillows with blood stains and everything, if he really did it or not.
Some of the women went to extremes for Bundy to grace them a look. They dressed up as his victims, hair parted in the middle, hoop earrings, and some even dyed their hair the right shade of brown. The public was in for an even greater shock when Bundy got married. Acting as his own defense, he proposed to his witness Carol Ann Boone in the very courtroom.
Will you marry me?
Yes, I will.
And I do hereby marry you.
Boone not only accepted the proposal, but gave birth to their child in 1981. However, the marriage didn't stop Bundy from having relationships with other women. He had quite a menagerie to choose from.
Ted's mail was as strange as anybody's mail could be. He got marriage proposals, lots and lots of women.
Most of his groupies strongly believed Bundy was innocent and would only accept the grim truth when Bundy himself confessed to his crimes shortly before his execution in 1989. In Boone's own words, she felt deeply betrayed. What about the Bundy fans who didn't buy into his innocence claims? These women only flocked to the courtrooms and obsessed about the criminal because they knew they were safe. It was not unlike a trip to a local zoo. Catherine Ramsland, a professor of forensic psychology, explains how these women can see such a person as a perfect boyfriend. She knows where he is at all times, and she knows he's thinking about her. While she can claim that someone loves her, she does not have to endure the day-to-day issues involved in most relationships. There's no laundry to do, no cooking for him, and no accountability to him. She can keep the fantasy charged up for a long time.
Every man judges himself. He knows what he is. You know what you are as I know what I am. We all know what we are.
Charles Manson. Unlike most of the subjects we've covered on our channel, Charles Manson didn't take anybody's life. Well, at least personally he didn't. The leader of the Manson family, he held so much sway over his cult followers, they were ready to do the worst on his behalf. That's exactly what happened when 4 of the members of the family committed the Tate LaBianca murders. The former became the subject of the latest Quentin Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Manson's family was effectively a cult. The man possessed uncanny charisma and used many tricks to collar people. A skilled musician, he looked like a veritable hippie guru in the eyes of simpletons. Manson specifically targeted people who were in dire straits. He knew perfectly well they'd be more susceptible to his preachings. The fake messiah also wasn't shy to use mind-altering substances. Manson was attempting to reprogram the very minds of his followers so that they submit totally to his will. When Manson's trial began, he appeared in court with 3 other cult members and wearing his signature fringed buckskins, looking like a rock star he aspired to be. On the first day of testimony, he showed up with an X carved into his forehead. His followers issued a statement for Manson saying, "I've X'd myself from your world." The following day, Manson's co-defendants, Van Houten, Atkins, and Krenwinkel, also appeared in court with an X carved in their foreheads, mimicking their idol. When Manson shaved his head, they didn't fail to do the same. Other Manson family members camped outside the courthouse during the trial. When Manson and his co-defendants got their life sentences, they went to separate prisons, but the cult leader found means to keep in contact with the women. He was bent on keeping them under his control. Manson's charisma and messianic rhetoric on the faults of society appealed to outcasts and continued to do so. His portraits still pop up in music albums and t-shirts as an emblem of nonconformism, using Manson as a marketing tool, among other things. Too bad that in this new era, when information access is not a problem, people continue to fall for fake idols and their theatrics. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer was responsible for 17 deaths, yet he received so many letters that his family had to take many of them home. He was only allowed so many letters in his cell. Dahmer was notorious for being hard to get in touch with, but he did respond to some. One devotee even bought him a typewriter, on which the criminal then went on to write all his future letters. But it wasn't only gifts that Dahmer's groupies sent him. He received prison coupons and cash behind bars, usually $10, $15, or $20 at a time. In 1993 alone, his admirers sent him $12,000 to help him buy things in prison. The mail sent to Dahmer falls into 3 categories. Some letters were sent by religious people, who learned that Dahmer became a born-again Christian behind bars. Another third of the correspondence was from people who were trying to understand Dahmer's motivation. But it's the final third that was truly disturbing. These letters came from fanatics who were in love with the criminal. The correspondence was abundantly peppered with phrases like, "You're misunderstood," "I love you," "I wish I could be with you." Many of the love letters were from men, but the majority came from straight women who were convinced he would fall for them. Some women wrote Dahmer several letters a day. The obsession was that strong. Why the fascination? Apart from the zoo aspect we mentioned with Bundy, these women and men believed they could change Dahmer and his ways and cure him of his evil inclinations. Others believed only they truly understood him and, as Professor Ramsland put it, they see the little boy that the killer once was and seek to nurture him. Clark Olofsson. Perhaps the spookiest form of fascination with criminals is called Stockholm Syndrome. It is a condition in which hostages develop a psychological bond with their captors. Some call it a coping mechanism that helps people deal with horrible situations they found themselves in, and it can be used in a much broader sense to describe, say, abusive relationships on the whole. The term was coined in 1973 when Jan Erik Olsson took hostage of 4 employees of Credit Banken, one of the largest banks in Stockholm, Sweden. Olsson negotiated the release from prison of his friend, Clark Olofsson, to assist him. They held the hostages captive for 6 days. When the hostages were released, none of them would testify against either captor in court. Instead, they began raising money for their defense. Subsequently, Olofsson had been called Sweden's first celebrity gangster. He's received sentences for a whole range of different crimes, including robbery and assault, and has spent more than half of his life in prison. Thanks to his powerful charisma, good looks, and an array of playboy tricks, Olofsson has always been popular with women and has 6 children. No wonder he became the symbol of Stockholm Syndrome. There are 4 key components that characterize the syndrome. A hostage's development of positive feelings towards the captor. No previous relationship between hostage and captor. A refusal by hostages to cooperate with police and other government authorities. A hostage's belief in the humanity of the captor, ceasing to perceive them as a threat when the victim holds the same values as the aggressor. The syndrome is rare, according to data from the FBI. About 8% of hostage victims show evidence of it. Let's hope the statistics go down. Richard Ramirez. Serial killer Richard Ramirez was dubbed Death Row Romeo for a very good reason.
Everyone makes him look so bad, but I know that he's a nice person because I've met him and I know.
When Ramirez was finally caught in 1985, society was shocked by the bizarre nature of the case. His crimes were multiple and diverse, and on top of that, he claimed to be a disciple of Satan. But it was about to get even weirder.
They are the women in black, admirers of Richard Ramirez. Why were you in the courtroom today?
I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
I like him. I mean, he's not, when I went in to visit him, I decided that I was not going to look at all the things he had done.
In the courtroom, the whole back row was occupied by goth girls, all clad in signature black and silver. But some of Ramirez's fans looked shockingly normal and impossible to tell apart from people in the jury seats. Actually, Cynthia Hayden, one of the jurors who sentenced Ramirez to the gas chamber, also became his unlikely fan.
He didn't get a fair trial.
And Cindy, you care for this man?
Yes, I do. That's just one side of him.
But that's a dreadful side. That's a
Well, everybody has a dreadful side.
Everyone?
It got even weirder when in 1996, Ramirez married Doreen Leoy, a 41-year-old freelance magazine editor and a devout Christian virgin, in a visiting room at San Quentin prison.
There are many who would look at Richard Ramirez in the eye and say, he is the face of evil. And yet you look at him and you see the man of your dreams. Who needs glasses here?
I can't help the way the world looks at him. They don't know him the way I do.
Doreen's eyes opened to Ramirez's true nature in 2009 when a DNA test confirmed that Ramirez molested a 9-year-old. Doreen's card house fell apart. She filed for divorce right away. So what's the mystery behind the Night Stalker's magnetism? On the surface, it was Ramirez's looks. He knew about his ace up his sleeve and used it profusely, dressing up to court and turning on his charisma to the maximum. Ramirez's satanic inclination, coupled with his arrogant, disrespectful behavior, also worked to his advantage. Seasoned with rhetoric and pathos-heavy lines, made him look like a veritable rebel, basically the same as with Charles Manson.
Then what are you attracted to?
I think he broke away from the system. And I think he was fed up.
With Ramirez's death, a lot of people breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, the guy who was feeding endless appeals to the judicial system departed for his Disneyland. All these cases of fanaticism might seem baffling, but the phenomenon is pretty well researched and studied. There's even a name to it: Bonnie and Clyde syndrome, or hybristophilia, a romantic attraction to criminals. Catherine Ramsland wrote a fascinating article, Women Who Love Serial Killers. In her research, she outlined the following reasons for women's attraction to extreme offenders: low self-esteem and the lack of a father figure, a belief that they can tame, change a man as cruel and powerful as a serial killer, a desire to nurture the little boy they see in the offender, just like with Dahmer, a desire to be in the spotlight or the desire to make money off it, the perfect boyfriend aspect we've mentioned earlier. It only remains to be hopeful that people who find themselves deeply fascinated with a criminal will read up on the subject, empathize with the victims, and realize that self-deception isn't the best thing in the world. After all, serial killer groupies isn't a pretty sight to behold.
Are you in love with him?
I don't know. Maybe I should tell you some of the things he told me about you.
Why are you going to marry somebody you're not in love with?
Because she gets to go on talk shows.